Dan and Corey here, welcoming you into Libservative.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back.
Yeah, welcome in to another rousing rendition of Libservative, intellectual idiots fostering political and cultural literacy, and the world's smartest internet show. Bell the body snatcher on the ones and twos. He, as always, is Corey Walsh.
He's Dan Griffin.
Man, at least we get to have a little bit more fun right before the war starts, Corey.
It was all fun and games until the war started.
If it hasn't started already.
Dan, I thought that the 12-day war ended.
Yeah. Okay. I think we.
So is this going to be like 12-day war plus 6 months? What are they going to label this one? It's funny because we actually talked about this on the show, right? We talked about how like it seemed like it was such a lackadaisical name for a war because usually it's like Battle of the Bulge, you know, where the battle at Midway Island. Or D-Day. It's like Operation Iraqi Freedom.
It's like the same people that are making Hollywood films are naming wars now.
It's just the 12-day war.
It's the dumbest, most boring.
And we said it on the show.
Trash.
Like, yeah, it seems like it's ended for now.
Who knows?
And now, it's so fucking annoying. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and give.
There's some other fun stuff going on as well.
Yeah,
I will say the
premise of the show first before I get all hot under the collar.
Well, AOC taking a beating. Obama conveniently saying that aliens are real at a really strange time. We've got Epstein fallout. What else we got here? I have so many notes this week. We have Tim Burchett calling out Washington for all of the right reasons. And
we also got the super very conservative Heritage Foundation to help author Project 2025 and their results on a comprehensive research into immigration or immigrants and illegal voting.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about that one though. I'll when we get there, I'll let you take the lead on that one. I will say with all this stuff going on, I did pick a really shitty time to drastically reduce my alcohol consumption. I must say I feel much better, and I'm sleeping a lot better. Which, Corey, I don't know if you know this, but when you drastically reduce your alcohol consumption, you get better sleep, and you start dreaming a lot more vividly. And jeez, I gotta tell you,
drinking,
dude, it doesn't matter because I figured this out. Like even just a couple of beers, like too close to bedtime, will fuck with your sleep, and you may not realize it, but
it does.
I had the dumbest dream the other night. It was so vivid. This does matter to the show just based on the characters that were in the dream. So I had a dream that I got linked up with Jake Paul, and we were arranging a sanctioned fight between me and Tim Pool.
That's a good dream.
And so like the whole dream.
Do you think you could take Tim Pool?
Yes.
In real life?
Shall I offer the challenge right now?
Oh my God. I don't know if you want to. Like, I know we're small potatoes right now, but something like that. I mean, yeah, go ahead. I'll help you.
He wouldn't take the fight. You know why? Because he wouldn't be able to fight.
Because he is the boot, Dan.
Yeah, he's the boot, and he'd have to take his beanie off. He wouldn't be able to do it. But anyway, so it gets way dumber. So it starts with my meeting with Jake Paul, and then it like, you know how sometimes in dreams you'll like fast forward to like the next day or whatever the next event is.
So your brain has a way of just paving over like the boring monotonous part, like a movie does. Like the movie isn't going to show you going home and taking a shit after me go Jake Paul. It's going to be either a monologue or a cutscene to the fight.
Right. It's like a movie. It runs like a movie. So it goes to me and my ring entrance. And I'm coming. This is where it gets really stupid. For some reason, I'm accompanied to the ring by CM Punk. No idea why. And the song is fucking Hit 'Em Up by Tupac.
First off, it's a bitch in the click the glam. What's that? That's fucking funny.
is my ring entrance. And Tim Pool is already waiting in the ring. And for some reason, he's like way fatter than he actually is in real life. Like he actually got in worse shape for the fight.
But he was cultivating mass.
And he had his beanie on. I don't know
why wouldn't he?
He was accompanied to the ring by RFK Jr. And for some reason, RFK Jr. was eating a Pop-Tart and just downing methylene blue, like in the corner. And then the dream ended.
So you don't know who won.
I woke up after that. Yeah, that's why we have to arrange this.
Yeah, you might have to make your dreams come true.
I gotta get Jake Paul on the horn. And I think the reason
Jake Paul, if you're watching, hit us up. We gotta check our emails more now.
And not in the Tupac way.
Hit him up. Jake Paul, you're gonna get a voicemail. It's like, hey, this is Jake Paul. First off, fuck you, bitch, in the click and claim. I'm the click. I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
So I think the reason RFK Jr. was like top of mind and was in that dream is because like earlier that night was the first time that I had seen the video of him homoing out with Kid Rock.
Oh yeah,
that's the gayest. That's the gayest video RFK's ever done, and it's really
boys hanging out.
Well, it's really close because there was the Dr. Oz video from like a few months back where they're like holding each other tenderly on the side of a rock.
RFK is that comfortable with his orientation that some platonic playfulness with his bipedaling pals. It's not gay.
Should we have Bell play the video? We have to keep the sound off because Kid Rock's Ball with the Ball is playing, and we will absolutely get pulled from YouTube, Facebook, and the like. Make sure you keep the sound off here, Bell. Well, Corey and I will narrate. It starts off with them just standing with their hands on their hips in front of each other.
Put your hands on my hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip.
Kid Rock appears to be trying to hide a boner, which is fun.
With a towel.
Look how jacked Kid Rock is.
He's got the same build as me.
He kind of does.
I can't talk shit about Kid Rock's build.
This video is so gay. It is so gay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
He looks like Stinky from Hey Arnold all grown up.
A little bit. And I gotta give you gotta give RFK credit. I mean, the dude takes care of himself. That's clear. Maybe that's the kind of thing Kid Rock's into. He's into older men.
They never made eye contact in any of this, I don't think, and they never touched.
Yeah, but there was a lot to the
rock out, workout. Well, this one's
go.
definitely for just viewers and not listeners.
Yeah, for sure, because we can't get
Here we have Kid Rock showing up and immediately taking his shirt off. They're holding an American flag, and then they're working out.
Oh, wait till they're in the sauna.
I just don't understand why RFK's in jeans. Do you think they're jeggings?
What? No. Why does he jump in the ice bath in jeans?
Why is he running on the? Why is he working out in a sauna in jeans?
I don't know, dude.
He loves taking his shirt off, though.
This is the guy that's going to save your kids from vaccines. And where's Kid?
He's in the tub, or he's in the pool, man. He's in the grotto.
Oh my God, is this gay?
Now they're playing pickleball. I wish we were making this up. Like
right. I know, it's just so bad.
And it seemed, what I really think it is like this was probably like very last minute. Like these two, this is probably like because
they are now they're in the grotto together, totally about to make out.
Well, they just recently did the other.
Dude.
What was the other thing that them two just did together?
I don't know. I just wanted to watch the funny.
Bell said each other.
I just wanted to see the ultra gay video because that's funnier.
Liberty Twitcher said RFK's a man's man. Nothing gay there.
I never sucked any ding dongs.
Kid Rock looks like an elite disc golfer.
he kind of does.
It reminds me of NSL's ambiguously gay duo skits.
All we needed was for George Santos to jump in the
Peekaboo.
No, because then it would have been gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Just George Santos.
No, I mean, if RFK and Kid Rock are homoing around together,
he's so out of the closet. He's knocking on other people's closets, going, "Hey, it's okay. I'm out here now. Everyone else can come out too."
Peekaboo.
Big fat pussycat.
I love George Santos.
God, he's probably the best politician.
He hasn't been in the news in a while.
No.
Yeah.
He wasn't on the list. The only people really in the news right now are the people on the list. And hey, just in case anyone didn't know, I'm not going to be able to get to the sound effect real quick enough, but it's everyone.
Played the right one.
Yeah, I did. Because I changed the other one to long. Just in case anyone doesn't know, it's all of them. All of them fucking. Hey, you like someone who's a politician and like they're like at the top of the echelon of power? Probably on the list. Probably.
What list you say? Every list.
The Epstein list. Yeah.
Oh, did you just
and right now they're either resigning or getting fired or arrested, or they're denying it.
Unless they're in the United States.
They're denying it, and instead of being like, no, I'm not a fucking pedo. In fact, hey, I'm with you guys. Let's figure this out. They're going, it's a hoax. It's no. I didn't know after the guy got a sweetheart deal that he was a pedo, and I was going to his island with my family. Yeah, I'm on the Trump administration. The guy that was named a bunch. Why do you ask?
You know what's interesting about the whole thing is, I mean, there's interesting things coming out week after week, and it seems to be the thing that is front of mind for so many, and I understand why, and it's because there are so many layers to this onion, which we've talked about over the past few weeks. But I do find it interesting that there are like no, I don't know, organized like protests about this stuff. Like you'll have people protest ICE, and you'll have people protest, I don't know, guns or whatever. But I think I know the answer to the reason why there's no protests about this, or why there's no giant, other than the podcast community, there's no like giant uprising in the public over the Epstein stuff. I think I know the answer to why. And that I think it's because protests are generally inorganic and paid for through fake nonprofits to prop up certain causes, to emotionally manipulate people to vote a certain way. This case doesn't do that for anyone. It did for a minute. I mean, Trump ran on it.
I see what you're saying. There's no, like, when it comes to a lot of the really big protests, and like we've talked about this on the show before, I've been to protests put on by people who are actual local organizers, and I've been to protests that were just commercialized as shit. And it's all two of them. And didn't get paid for either of them. But yeah, I don't know. Like this one, there's not going to be any big organization behind it, because all of the big elitists, because all the big elitists and people who pay for this shit are implicated in the list.
Right. Yeah.
And then so when it comes to the people, I feel like the people themselves, when it's an inorganic thing, it takes a little bit longer. And everyone, I think, is still in the Like what are the 12 steps of grief or whatever, like the first one's like grief, and then there's like shock. Isn't shock one of them? I think
I
people
don't
are
fucking
still,
know what they are anymore.
I don't either.
It's denial and
I'm not even going to claim to ever know them. I'm just saying that right now I feel like a lot of people are still like figuring out what's going on, and they're figuring out everyone else's reaction, because right now there's a large swath of people who are defending one side or the other of the whole list based on their political ideology. Like, no, it's all of them. We're talking the Clintons, like Obama, Biden, like in Obama, like they had these people that were in his list that were in Jeffrey Epstein's closer circle, like inner circle, after he got fucking his sweetheart deal in 2007 for being a fucking pedo. But yet they were still talking to him and they were still hanging out with him. This was happening like Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State to Obama. Like he had to have fucking caught some sort of wind of this, and he could have had every possibility to like nudge his AG and being like, hey, look into this a little bit and let me know what you find, or, Bush, Clinton, a lot of these claims that are about Trump or Clinton, which is funny because people that are Trump supporters are using this as an example of FBI hotlines and tip lines being discredited. Like, it's like, oh, whose FBI was that? Oh, it was Clinton's. Oh, okay, that makes sense. And it's just, I think a lot of people are trying to figure out where everyone else is at with it. Like,
what happens?
Like right now, like we're waiting for I guess people are waiting for the other shoe to drop. People don't know exactly what to be pissed about right now, and there isn't some big donor corporate sponsorship behind it to tell them what to think. So people are still trying to figure it out. I think we'll see protests eventually, but I think they will be organic. Like the we are the 99% protests. The ones that didn't get a lot of attention and they got fucking hosed and beat to shit, while rich people, like you see the photos, rich people were up in the balcony drinking champagne as the people down below were protesting. We'll see shit like that.
What do we do when we get to when they get to the final stage of grief, though? Acceptance. Do we
accepting that they're all in it? We've been pretty much blackpilled for like 4 years at this point. Probably.
Yeah, we're trying to. I mean, I'm trying to consume the white pill, but it's getting harder and harder and harder to do so.
It's there. Like it's just, we got to get rid of all this funk. That's something else we've been talking about on our show for a while, right? Like we're kind of in the midst of the changing of the guard.
And what makes it so hard is all of this
expedited that.
What makes it so hard is all of the fog around it, which I think is a lot of what like Michael Tracy tries to point out. I think Michael Tracy is trying way too hard to be like really contrarian over this whole thing, but he raises some good points because there's so much fog and noise. And a great example was just today. So Leslie Wexner was deposed by the it was at the Justice Committee, whatever the fucking committee was, and he had his lawyer there, and there's a hot mic, and his lawyer whispers in his ear, "I'll fucking kill you if you answer a question with more than 5 words," and then Wexner laughs, and the video's over. And what the fuck does the internet do? It takes that and goes, "Oh look, Leslie Wexner's being controlled by someone." Right? Like, why would his lawyers say
interpreted either way? It could absolutely, you could understand why people would interpret it either way. But I get what you're saying. Like, in everything that you see,
it's clearly just a joke.
Fictional
it's a joke between an attorney and his client.
About lawyers always are often kind of the fall guy. The lawyers are the ones that are being paid. They're not the one that's pulling the strings.
Well, not to mention this. I don't know if
I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, like it looked like a joke.
I don't know if anybody cares to hear this
too much.
But fresh out of college, I had a job filming depositions. It was an incredibly boring job, and most of it was insurance bullshit. But I was the guy that would go in. There'd be a court reporter there. There'd be attorneys, and there'd be the person that was being deposed. Right. So I've seen hundreds of these depositions live in person. Most of them extraordinarily boring. But like the amount of time that an attorney gets frustrated with their client to this degree it happens all the time. It happens all the the time because the clients are they're dumb. They're just there to answer. They don't know the law. They're just there to answer the questions. And your attorney, if you don't answer it in a certain way, gets very, very frustrated with you. And if you're a rich guy like Les Wexner, he's probably had this attorney on retainer for years. They're probably like at least somewhat friends. You know, and so it's like I'm not letting Les Wexner off the hook.
No, he's still definitely a co-conspirator,
or at least a protector of some kind. Like why did you give power of attorney to this guy in 1991 as the billionaire that you were and the founder of Victoria's Secret? You didn't even know who this guy was,
right?
There's a lot of questions around Les Wexner, but man, the internet will literally just take anything and spin it into something that's insane, and now you get so lost in the weeds and the nonsense that the stuff that's real about Jeffrey Epstein, it's hard to tell what's real and what's fake. And now you have a public that's like, I have a feeling that a lot of like loyal MAGA people are like this right now because they're in a spot where they're like, I can't believe anything, so I'm going to believe nothing, or I can't believe anything, so I'm going to believe everything. I don't think the human brain or the human mind or the human psyche is set up to decipher all of this shit. We have a hard enough time doing it.
And we just tried to actually invest in it and don't go based on headlines and 30-second videos. You know, it's just a little bit of hobby.
Did you read the article?
Yeah, most of the time. But yeah, it's wild. And it's you know, like again, this video, it's in it.
Why is Michael Jackson on the screen?
I don't know.
Whoops. What the hell were you guys watching?
He had the footage.
Yeah. I never sucked any ding dongs.
We know.
How about we all come together and say, let's stop attacking pedophiles?
Yeah, it gets to this point where it's just like the problem is that not everything means something else, right? So everything is scrutinized and thrown into this conspiracy hopper, and it's like, oh, did you see that guy? He was wearing those red shoes. Everyone knows red shoes are the color of statutory rape.
See, so stuff like that, like I need to find the email is what I should just do, right? There's an email where Epstein says, like when the Podesta files came out with Pizzagate and all that, there's an email where he says, wow, this Podesta stuff is looking pretty bad. Should we maybe add some emails and add some noise into this to try to delegitimize it?
It's done on purpose. Now, Alex Jones is being accused of being the human version of that. He's being accused of being an op now. I mean, he did fuck up the other day. You saw what he did the other day, didn't you?
What did he say? I saw a video of him
right away. So Pam Bondi tweeted that like all the files are released, and Alex Jones just took to the fucking camera and was like, "They're all out now. All the files are out. They're all out. I got them all in the back. I can't show anybody the files."
And now like BBC and stuff's reporting that there's
I never sucked any ding dongs.
Like 2% that there's terabytes, or potentially with all the stuff that he also had at his house. Like there's mountains of evidence for this guy. And we live in a country where the government is supposed to be of the people, by the people, for the people. And there's supposed to be one tier of or one legal track for everyone. Everyone's supposed to be accountable and transparent. And here we have all these people who were implicated and all up in these files that aren't even being investigated or questioned right now. And
the biggest load that we've seen.
That we have this government because we pulled away from monarchy, because monarchies are shitty and there's no accountability, and it's about a king and he gets to do what he wants while everyone else is under his one rule. Well, we're watching a fucking king's brother right now being arrested. And there's another, there was a girl, I forget her name, maybe Belle, if you could find it. There's a girl like Sweden or Norway. She was a princess, I believe. She just got stripped of her crown. Like, we're watching monarchies hold their royals more accountable than a government that's supposed to be of the people, by the people, for the people.
I think it's the Murray Roth. I don't remember if it was Rothbard or Hoppe. It was one of those sort of libertarian dynamos that wrote. I think it was Hoppe. He wrote a book called "Democracy: The God That Failed." It's extraordinarily boring, but also very, very interesting. And he doesn't talk up monarchies as if they're good, but he explains a scenario like I'm going to butcher this because I'm not nearly as smart as Hans Hermann Hoppe. But he basically explains that monarchies at least have an incentive to do good by their people because they own the nation. They own the country, whatever it is, and it is within their best interest to keep their people happy, to prevent revolt against them. Democracies don't do that. Democracies change over their government every 4, 6, 2 years, and there isn't as much incentive to hold your nation accountable for its wrongdoing and its problems. So like that's the idea of the sort of ambivalent monarch, I guess.
Benjamin Franklin was asked, "What do we have after the convention to write the Constitution?" And he said, "A republic, if you can keep it."
And we're not. We lost it a while ago.
We basically are a monarchy that's just privatized and bastardized from what like Britain has. Like at this point, like the king, like all the way back to 1649 with their monarchy, a king can be hung or hanged for treason or killed or whatever. You know what I mean? Like they seem to have more fucking accountability than we do, dude. Like that's the sad part. Because that's not what the Constitution intended. That's not what the founders intended in this country.
And you got to understand though too, when it comes to King Charles, I mean, the monarchs in England for a long time now, at least since Queen Victoria, they've basically just been figureheads. They've basically just been mascots. They don't really do anything. It's just, I mean, it's controlled by the Parliament, but still, there is this idea of needing to save face if you are a monarch, even if you don't have that much control anymore. And we have to be very, very clear about Prince Andrew here for a moment. He was not arrested for anything to do with sexual misconduct or pedophilia. He was arrested for leaking information to Epstein, which is a big deal. It's not nothing, but it feels a little bit like arresting Al Capone for tax evasion.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit.
I was just about to say, just arresting somebody to get the foot in the door.
Yeah. And then you have oh my God, you have Pam Bondi who just keeps. I hope she puts chocolate sauce on her fucking pumps because she doesn't wear pumps. She seems like a flats lady. But I hope she puts, because the amount of times that she shoves her foot in her mouth, I swear to God.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just.
And I don't listen to women yelling. I tell them to shut up.
If we prosecute everyone, the whole system would fall. Your terms are acceptable, madam. Your terms are acceptable.
The system that protects pedos is a system that deserves to fall.
It's like, you mean to tell me that the IRS would, I don't know, stop stealing my money and sending it to kill brown people? We see it with government shutdown. The shit just keeps working.
Dude, and then when people are like, well, they're two different parties, right? When the government had that small shutdown, like they're back up now, right? It's pretty sure they're back open. There was that small shutdown over DHS funding, and 6 Democrats hopped on over to the Republican side to vote. Chuck Schumer didn't even go, no, wait, don't do it.
Don't.
He didn't even say anything. And they were all just in very safe, blue districts.
Isn't that? Go ahead.
The other, what is it? You need that's what, a total of 427 in the House.
I
Is
can't
it 427? Remember. It's 400 and something. I should know that number, but I don't. And all 200 and what do they have? 213 right now on the Democratic side in the House. It's like 218 to 213 or something.
It's a small advantage for the Republicans right now.
And they all go out and they all say these things and about their party and try to make their party sound vastly different than the other side. And then they all come back to get together, and 200 people couldn't pressure 6 people of their own party that's supposed to be the different party,
right,
to not vote with Republicans. Like they're all in cahoots.
It's all an act, and like that is the difference between what the Schumer and more so Nancy Pelosi, even though she's stepped down from.
Oh, and then they'll double down on someone who acts more like a part of their party and acts more principled to like their party ideology. They get called a rhino or a dino.
But that's the difference between a Schumer Pelosi type and a Trump type, right? So what you just said is what Trump should be doing with Thomas Massie. But instead, Donald Trump is totally Streisand affecting the shit out of Thomas Massie, right? So take whatever bill you want, right? Because this is what Trump and his supporters always say. You know, he's a grandstander and he always votes against Republicans and yada, yada, yada. It's like, dude, he's one vote. If you're Chuck Schumer and you're Nancy Pelosi and Ro Khanna wants to like vote against you when you're in power, you say, okay, ooh, you know,
right.
you just let it go.
He'll still caucus with us on the very important things.
But Trump is so tied to how people are with him personally that he can't just let Thomas Massie cast this no vote out of his own principles, even though it fucking means nothing. It means nothing when Thomas Massie casts those no votes. But instead, what does Trump do? He's got to go on Truth Social and talk about what a piece of shit Thomas Massie is. And not to mention, he's got to go on, he's got to get on there and personally attack him. You know, talk about his wife and shit. It's like, if they just get on the phone with one another and chat and like scream at each other over the phone personally and over text message, it just goes away. Like if you and me, Corey, if you and I got into a fight for some reason, and we were fighting with each other on, over the phone, and I'm saying, fuck you, you're an asshole. And we're screaming back and forth at each other and texting each other nasty things and making fun of each other's wives or whatever. If it stays private, that like our relationship can still be rekindled. But if I go to the internet and start talking shit about your wife in public, how are you and I ever supposed to reconcile that?
Right.
But that's what Trump does. He takes to the internet and throws it all over. And it's like, that is one of his biggest fucking shortcomings.
And you know what's going to happen because of that? And like, and this is the craziest thing too, because then like mega supporters, just no matter what, they stand by his side. And it's like, they don't think about like the bigger picture. Trump's going to lose the House and the Senate. All right. Like
at least one for sure.
I would say, I think two. I think that
a good chance.
There's a
good chance.
Enough chance that I've made a couple bets.
Kelsey made some money off you.
Yeah, you want to take that bet? We talked about it last week.
No.
Okay.
Because I think there's a good enough chance. I'm just saying it's not a sure thing.
All right.
A lot can happen between now and November.
Peekaboo.
The megas want to just own the libs so goddamn bad that they're literally going to lose everything that has any sort of legs to help anything Trump does have any sort of longevity. Like Trump could do a bunch of shit right now with executive orders. He's on the same trajectory that every other president was. Like because everything's so bipartisan that if any president wants to get anything done at this point, he has to do an executive order because the House ain't going to vote on shit. And so, sure, he can get some shit done. You can own the libs. He can do all that. He's about to lose it in a month. Well, not a month. In, what is this, February? So 10 months from now, when they actually all take the seat, 11 months, it's all going to be undone. And then he's just lame duck president. So what's he going to do to try to like keep shit going? To start what? Start wars? Do Israel's bidding?
That's a great segue, Corey.
Because where we're headed right now, it's almost like he's anticipating that.
War with Iran seems imminent again. Convenient timing. Very, very convenient timing. Because, when things aren't going well, you pivot to a war, or you pivot to a culture war. Yeah, or you pivot to a culture war, or you start talking about aliens again, which is what this administration is doing. Listen, maybe they dig their way out of this again. But when you have essentially what seems like the entire naval fleet making its way off the coast of the Middle East, you're sending tons of warplanes this time, and you have Iran essentially not playing ball. Because I think what Trump wanted to do, and I'm not the first person to say this. This is not like a unique opinion of mine. Maybe our listeners have heard it already in the last, few days. But I think his goal was to kind of do what he did last time, which is like, we'll do a little targeted strike, and then you could do a little targeted strike, and then I'll get Bibi Netanyahu off my back for another 6 months, and we'll do it all over again. And I think Iran's finally going, yeah, dude, we're not going to keep fucking doing this shit. And listen, the fact of the matter is, if there is a hot war with Iran, Iran will be obliterated. I don't think there's any question about that. And I don't think there's necessarily a fear of like boots on the ground and a bunch of American soldiers dying. I think what we'll have is a shit ton of airstrikes. The nation falls into disrepair, and it essentially becomes what Libya became. And that's fine. That's all Israel wants.
Yeah. And for real, like, if that war happened, I don't see, like, do you see China or Russia getting involved more than like just like support?
What'd you say? Sorry, you cut out.
I said, if we talked about like a hot war with Iran, like, do you see China or Russia getting involved? Like, other than
no, I don't think so. I think they would keep their nose out of it, because like what I don't understand how
it
it's
would,
helpful.
Russia would,
from the
China would probably go snag Taiwan.
I mean, I don't even know. I don't even want to speculate on that part so far, but like it's kind of, it's the neocon strategy, or I should say the new age neocon strategy, where it's like you just throw in the warplanes, you blow places up, and then you get to fly the mission accomplished flag, right?
On the aircraft carrier, yeah.
Right. You get to go, look what we did. We've mission accomplished, and Trump stopped another war by having another war.
Without congressional approval.
Right, of course. Always without congressional approval. It's very similar to what happened with Venezuela. He got to go.
And that's not unique. And that's not unique to Trump. That's Biden.
Yeah, of course. He got to fly his little mission accomplished flag. And again, like, that's not over yet either, right? Like, we talked about this with the Operation Midnight Hammer and the 12-day war, and it's all over, and we won, and mission accomplished. And now look where we are. 6 months later, where we're in danger once again.
And look where the goalposts
of a hot war with Iran.
Before it was nuclear weapons.
Right.
And we totally dismantled it. We totally destroyed their nuclear capabilities for years to come. That's what was said.
Yeah.
On Truth Social by Trump, and in press conferences, he said that.
And it changed to
but now it's
saving the protesters, it's ballistic missiles.
Yeah, now then it moved to, we need to go and defend these protesters over there while we're shooting people in America for protesting. And then we're doxing, like, with Palantir and all this stuff. Our government is creating databases with faces of people simply out there organizing, organic or not. They caught wind of an organized thing going on. They went to it to exercise their First Amendment, rights. And we have the American government getting pictures of their faces and putting them into databases. And you have our government now putting people on domestic, and then and then they're all being called domestic terrorists. Do you remember that one video, or the one thing, that one guy got shot in the leg because the ICE agent shot him in the leg because he said he was being attacked by broom handles and broomsticks? I think we talked shit about him on this show, where it's like, well, you probably shouldn't hit ICE agents with broom handles and broomsticks and shovels. Like we said, but that was probably something that would definitely get you shot. Like, I think we made that, like, kind of like offhanded joke on the show.
Sure.
Those fucking agents lied under oath. The charges on them were dropped. Like, so our agents are shooting people. Like, Americans are getting shot and being harassed by our government for protesting. But then we're going to go start a war for another country's citizens getting shot for protesting. Like, you don't see the fucking game here. You don't see what's going on. Like, what the fuck is that?
And how many times do we have to play this game? Like, how many times does history have to repeat itself?
And then,
right? Because this is what
exactly.
Because this is what
because the goalpost keeps getting moved. That's what I was getting to. Like, now it's about their ballistic missiles. Now it's about their air defense of stuff they have on their borders to protect their own country. If someone ever came to America and said you need to get rid of your ballistic missiles, we'd say fuck you. And it's just like, and it was never about the ballistic missiles, but now it is. And it's funny that our government is saying that now, about 3 weeks after Netanyahu was saying Iran needs to get rid of their ballistic missiles, and Iran needs to get rid of their nuclear capabilities, and Iran needs to get rid of their proxies or whatever. That was never the deal. It was never the deal. It was about nuclear weapons. Trump said again and again and again, Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. But now all of a sudden we're going to the war over there because of ballistic missiles, and they're shooting protesters. Some of them who were armed that were getting weapons from Mossad because they basically blatantly just said that.
And the sad part about the whole thing is, like, this is the same game that we played in Libya. This is the same game that we played in Syria. I mean, name the nation in which we took out a quote unquote terrible tyrannical regime. And maybe they were actually terrible tyrannical regimes.
What happens next?
But the grass is not always greener on the other side.
Okay, what happens next?
You turned Libya into a failed state. You turned Libya into a failed state. You took Saddam out and ISIS rolled in. It's like, just because you
Syria is ran by the goddamn Al Qaeda right now.
By Al Qaeda.
We're having them in the fucking White House, and they're just talking about what they're this diplomatic policy and what we're gonna do for each other. Like, what the fuck is going on, right? like Liberty said right now, Venezuela looks like it's going good. Now,
sweet.
What happened? You know, like we over like Iran, the very country we're talking about, we already toppled the regime once in the 50s, and it took 20 years. But now we're still dealing with them. What we're dealing with now is a direct result of shit we did 70 goddamn years ago. It's just mind-boggling, and it's the perfect distraction away from a pedophilic global elite cabal.
But Corey, you're missing the biggest point. They're the bad guys, and we're the good guys, and the good guys got beat up the bad guys because you view war like a fucking 7-year-old,
like a goddamn Marvel movie.
Yeah, it's like these people view war like it's a goddamn, like they're 7-year-olds playing with action figures. It's not that fucking simple. Bell, you wanted to say something. What did you have?
Oh, I was just saying that my favorite one was Afghanistan. 25 years, and look at them now.
Mm-hmm. Totally taken over by warlords.
Also ran by terrorists.
Also, yeah.
We went from Bush saying we don't negotiate with terrorists, or it's like, actually we negotiate with them quite frequently.
Yeah, all the time. We always negotiate with terrorists, and we don't care about tyrants. As long as those tyrants do the bidding of the West, that's all we care about.
It's just, we're about to be, we're getting sucked into another war.
Now you pull the heartstrings and talk about we have to.
And then it's like, is that better? Is that better? Like, I guess it saves lives of soldiers, but like, is it better that we just go to war with Iran for 12 days every 6 months? Just bomb the shit out of them and then just leave and say mission accomplished. No soldiers died.
But will they still have an Islamic regime?
That's all that matters. It's all that matters. We'll see what the next one is. We'll bring in the next one, and then we'll do it again.
Too. That still blows my fucking mind. That like an Islamic regime, you know, Judaism, Christianity, it's all the same fucking God.
Yeah. Well, that's not a debate I want to get into right now. I agree with you, but that's not a debate I want to get into with anybody.
It's just so goddamn dumb. It's just insane. I just don't get it. Like, I don't know. I guess we're going to war again. Maybe this one will be 10 days. Maybe they'll call this one the 10-day war.
This feud with Iran, it'll totally be different than Iraq and Libya and Syria and Yemen and name any other country. It'll totally be different. It'll be so different this time. I promise you.
We learned from our mistakes, Dan.
What's funny is like we'll come back in however long it is, 6 months, a year, 5 years, and go, we were right. And then in 20 years, just like with Iraq,
everyone else is going to say it too.
Everybody will jump on board 20 years after.
Be like, yeah, you fucking idiot. You thought bombing Iran was a good idea?
I just have like one sentence to say, which is Ron Paul was right about everything. And he continues to be right to this day.
Maybe you should make some bracelets like the WWJD bracelets, but have it just say RPWR.
What would Ron Paul do?
No, Ron Paul was right.
Yeah, because he was. And then 20 years later, you have the people like Scott Horton and Tom Woods and Ron Paul in 2002 talking about how these conflicts in the Middle East were going to play out.
Oh, dude, it's one of the biggest drivers of the inflation back home. Like there's a difference between protecting the petrodollar and the US dollar and using your military to make sure that your ships in the free market can transport back and forth, right? That's one of the big, that's why a navy is so important, because your country's trading is only as good as the reliability of your stuff you're trading being brought to your country in a globalized economy. And the military is there to enforce that in international waters. It's not police. It's the military.
There's one small detail we missed, Corey, that kind of makes this one. It makes it a little bit more serious this time, which is the fact that U.S. military bases in the area are being evacuated now. Ooh, that was a weird voice crack. You look at that and you go, well, isn't that what we always wanted? And we want to get people out of those bases? Like, yeah, but I wanted them to do it just to do it, not because there was a threat that they could be retaliated against.
Right. Yeah, no, there's a third of our I think our Navy, and then I don't know the exact percentage of our Air Force that's out there right now, but they got the I think they're called AWACS, but it's like the ones that have that the large satellite on them. Like they don't just send those anywhere. They send those there when shit's actually about to happen. And this could be like a serious flex.
I'm going to be hopeful that they cut a deal. I don't know. I'm going to be hopeful that they cut a deal. I doubt it.
What deal would they cut?
I don't know. Because here's the thing. Israel's not going to be satisfied until the Iranian regime is gone. And what do we know? What Israel wants, Israel gets. So maybe Trump could push it off again for another 5-6 months somehow, and then we are back here again.
Hey, Bell, actually, so this is what makes this also more interesting. Bell, look up real quick the DOJ being hacked. I guess the DOJ was hacked, and they're saying that the Epstein files were stolen.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just...
The DOJ was just hacked like a day or two ago. From what I've read, that's why I'm having Bell look it up. But if that's the case, it seems awfully like a lot that Trump might be being influenced to have to force to do these things based on some of this information sometimes.
Because respond to Liberty here, Corey. The freedom-loving peoples of Iran also want the regime to fall. Good for them. Good for them. Take them down.
Take them down.
I mean,
we had to. I mean, it was our ancestors, but it's the tree of liberty from time to time must be quenched with the blood of tyrants and patriots alike.
So let me point this out too. Because so a lot of people in Iran hate the regime, right? We know this. This is factual. We know this. The issue is when we saw this, we've seen this pretty much with every military conflict, definitely since World War II, where you have a situation where you have a tyrannical leader, you have the people that want to take them down, and then what you have is the West come in to play hero and save the day when that's not really why they're going there. They're going there for the money and the oil and the bidding of Israel. And then you have what's called a rallying around the flag effect, right? So we have this issue here in the United States where it doesn't seem like anybody can agree on anything. People love Trump. People hate Trump. There's nothing in the middle. But I can promise you right now, if, I don't know, Portugal was like, man, those Americans, they really, really hate that Trump guy. We better go do something. Let's go bomb the shit out of their country. How many of us do you think are going to rally around that flag? You think Democrats that
just that, right? Like if we were all here out in the streets protesting about some shit and we were pissed off at our government and we're dealing with it the best we know how, even if it's a futile attempt and we're not winning it. If another country came in and fucking did an embargo and then all of a sudden all of our goods of all the shit we were getting from other countries we couldn't get anymore, or if all of a sudden there were sanctions that made shit more expensive because of an external source, or if all of a sudden, like you said, just straight up like kinetic warfare and like our neighborhoods and cities, because we are close to like we're close as hell to an air base where we live. And all of a sudden they started bombing around here, like all the factories around our houses, because they like right now they make cars, but they couldn't make war shit, are getting bombed, and like our neighbors are losing their jobs. You think we're gonna be like, thanks?
Dude, and that's the whole thing that frustrates me about this kind of stuff, where people will always go, the Venezuelans want to be freed from Maduro, or the Iranians want to be freed from the Ayatollah and the regime. It's like, how dare you speak for the entire population of a nation that you've been propagandized to hate? Propagandized, whether it's correct propaganda or improper propaganda, whether it's right or wrong, doesn't matter. You've been propagandized to hate this nation, and you sit at your computer. And I'm not talking about liberty personally. You see this all the time online. Oh, the Venezuelans, look at them. They want to be freed. It's, how dare you speak for that entire nation? It would be like another nation saying, man, the Americans, they all hate that Donald Trump guy. Well, there are a shit ton of people here who fucking love Donald Trump. How dare you speak for our entire country? Like, how many times have you taken a walk down the streets of Tehran?
Not only that, could you imagine Venezuela seeing Donald Trump getting voted into presidency and they're just like, nope, and fucking went there and snagged him up in the middle of the night, and came here and snagged him up in the middle of the night and then just bounced with him, put him in their jail? Like, half the people would be pretty fucking pissed.
Also, I gotta say that I cannot find any corroboration. Nothing is corroborated on the
DOJ hack. Yeah,
that too.
Yeah, and it's just like,
I recant my statement.
Liberty's talking about the elections in Venezuela now. People didn't want Maduro. A vote proved that. Again, the numbers of an election, stolen or not, does not suggest that. So you're telling me that there's not one Venezuelan that supported Nicolas Maduro? Not one. Because that's the way that people make it sound. He had zero supporters. There wasn't a single person in Venezuela that supported Nicolas Maduro. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. There is a huge portion of people that supported Nicolas Maduro.
Yeah.
There are a huge portion.
It's probably like a 50-50.
There are a huge portion of Iranians that support the Ayatollah. You don't speak for the entire nation just because we don't like it or because Israel doesn't like it.
Just like how when there's 1,000 people in the street protesting over, like, let's say liberals, over anything Trump does, whether you agree with it or not, they don't.
All of America hates Trump, Corey. That's what that means. All of America hates Trump.
And then and then go in the other silo, hop in the other silo. 10,000 people, 30,000 people, 40,000 people show up for Trump at one of his rallies, like in 2016. You don't really see that anymore. He's not even doing rallies anymore.
It's what's funny is like people call this like, are you defending Nicolas Maduro? Or are you defending the Iranian
No,
regime?
but what I'm saying is even if you filled up Ford Field, holds like 62,000 people or something like that, you fill it up with a bunch of Trump supporters because Trump's speaking. That's still like, that's not all of America. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a small fraction. You could have 60,000 people in Venezuela, marching in the street or whatever. That doesn't mean that that's the majority. It's just
we're tired as Americans of watching our government. Doesn't matter who's in charge, Trump, Biden, Obama, doesn't matter. So tired of watching.
Stick to the Constitution more for principles of people, and then intervening and doing a regime change, saying that their freedom is being quelched, and like going in there to defend it in quotations.
When we can't even defend the freedom at home.
When they keep infringing on the American people.
Dude,
I'm sorry to cut you off. It's just
no, it's okay. Like it goes right. I mean, this we're talking about 50 years now since Muhammad Ali made his famous quote. Why didn't he go to Vietnam?
No Vietnamese ever called me the N-word.
Yeah, and I can't even get my own government to fight for my freedom here at home. And listen, Muhammad Ali was turned out to be a little bit of a race grifter, like so many of the other ones did, but it's still a fair point.
You know who wasn't?
Don't say Jesse Jackson.
Fucking Fred Hampton.
Yeah, a genuine leftist.
A genuine goddamn leftist. That's why they killed him so early. They killed him at 21. They let
didn't fake
Malcolm X and MLK. Oh yeah, no, like there's a quote of him and he goes, "Black power to the black people, white power to the white people, brown power to the brown people, red power to the red people, yellow power to the yellow people." He goes, "This is a systematic thing. It's all about everyone. If we're all gonna, they got us fighting here out at the bottom." And and then he actually fucking put like he talked the talk, but he walked the walk. He was setting up like food co-ops in his neighborhoods and like schools to help people learn how to like defend themselves against the government, and just education shit and like clothing drives. Like, he was a real motherfucker, and they fucking killed him.
Yeah, and he was a real one. He was a real one, unlike MLK. Sorry to say.
Well, MLK served his purpose.
He was a Marxist.
Wait, did you mean to say MLK or did you mean to say Jesse Jackson?
No, I meant to say MLK.
You said MLK was a racist?
Marxist.
Oh, Marxist.
Yes.
Okay.
Very, very clearly a Marxist.
Well, that's what got him killed.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as he stopped talking about race and started talking about class stuff, he got killed. It took a lot longer for him versus Fred Hampton.
You want to, speaking of which, do you want to shit on some communists a little bit? You want to shit on some dirty commies?
Mamdani. Despite being a libertarian, I have a real problem with not helping others in their fight for freedom. It's easy for us to say F them Venezuelans, let them kill their own government. And that's fair, but it's just liberation, revolution, all of that stuff isn't going to work if it isn't 100% organic.
And
like what happened with America all those years ago. But if we're influencing it, because you remember in 2014, Ukraine, we they're fighting for their freedom. They want to get out from between the clutches of the eastern regime of Russia. It wasn't an organic one. That's why you saw Russia happen.
It's always about hiding behind this. We have to spread democracy and we have to save this poor, downtrodden people, when it's all about global hegemony. It's always what it is. It's always about pushing Western power in places that just don't fucking want it.
It wasn't about freeing people in Venezuela, of capturing Maduro. It was about protecting the petrodollar. Because look what they're doing now. Like, the people in Venezuela aren't any better off. They're under the same fucking administration. It's just people in his, like, it's just Maduro's gone, but his regime is still in charge. And now we're in charge of their oil. And now we're in charge of their oil. And what are we doing with their oil? We're getting India to buy it because 37% of Russia's oil sales went to India. We're cutting up 30% of their money, 37% of their money. Just cut Skylink from them. Go look it up. Ukraine just had a huge advancement in that war. It's just it's all about the chess pieces of being moved around. And I'm all for people being able to be liberated in their countries. But if it's inorganic or if it's being influenced by outside forces, that right there treads a fine line, and it doesn't work.
And we're not even liberated to the degree that we should be right here at home. But we're gonna walk into some nation halfway across the world and free their people because I don't know, some B-roll from 8 years ago and some podcaster. And listen, no shade, that's what we are. Or some fucking Fox News host says that leader is really, really bad. That leader's nasty. We got to get rid of them. We'll be greeted as liberators. The same shit they said back in 2002 whenever it came to Iraq, and look what happened there. It never turns out like we're promised. You know, the pulling at the heartstrings of this oppressed people needs to be.
That's the most fucked up part, because Americans in general, like whether you're MAGA, whether you're liberal, like we generally, like we're pretty privileged people overall living in this country versus the rest of the world, that we have the capacity, to just try to genuinely be a good person. And it's so easy to manipulate Americans with the best intentions. It's so easy to manipulate us into thinking, well, we got to help them. We got to help protect their rights. And it's just disgusting that the government uses that against their own people time and time and time again. And we like millions of Americans
straight out of the neoconservative playbook.
Like, it's like, oh my God, no. People that are protesting in Iran shouldn't be being shot by their government. That's wrong.
Of course it is.
Of course it is, right? But it's easy to say here in America that, yeah, of course it is. But it's being used as a tool of propaganda to manufacture your consent to allow your government to go in there and kill some of the other ones, to kill the other half of the country and not those protesters.
And it's always a matter of perspective. We talked about Gaddafi last week, man. We talked about how Gaddafi made Libya the richest country in Africa. And yes, he was a tyrant. He was a Marxist. But it wasn't just as simple as he was just this evil man who was killing his own people. It's no different than Assad. Right? It was just the fact that Israel didn't like Gaddafi because Gaddafi didn't play ball. Gaddafi gave up his nukes, and it allowed us to fucking roll in, knock it out, and now it's a failed state. Like, did we help? Hold on, Corey. Did we help those oppressed people? Those quote unquote oppressed people? Did we help those people?
Isn't Libya like the capital of slavery right now, or something like that?
Yes, and human trafficking, or did we take what was the richest country in Africa at one time? It was on a downturn because Gaddafi was, after all, a socialist. So
anytime you centralize power, it falls. It can rise quick, but it can fall quick.
So it was bound to fail. But like you turned Libya into a failed state. Like, power vacuums happen when you take out tyrants. That's what happens. And the next tyrant that comes in could be worse. It's not just as simple as like, let's go liberate these people. If it were that simple, I would say, fuck, let's invade every goddamn country. Let's just invade everybody who's got a mean man running it.
Right.
But we don't even do that here, because as long as that tyrant is selling us oil, selling us resources, playing ball with Israel, playing ball with the West, we don't care. Do what the fuck ever the fuck you want to your own people.
Yeah. Yeah, we abducted Maduro under the guise of like trafficking drugs, but at the same time, the leader of Honduras, we pardoned him for doing the same thing.
We got to move on. Let's shit on some dirty commies for a minute. American commies. Bill, which video do you have pulled up there? I can't see it in the because we'll start wherever you are there. Okay, so let's start with Zohran Mamdani. Hold on, I got to get back up to my notes. Mamdani communism has begun in New York City. I do give this woman credit. Her name is slipping my mind. So I do apologize, but this is one of Mamdani's top advisors. Like, she's high up in the Mamdani mayoral administration. And I give her a little bit of credit.
C. Weaver.
Is it C or Cia? I don't know.
Cia.
Something.
CEA.
Weaver. This Weaver broad. I give her a little bit of credit because she went on and had a chat with Reason Magazine. Now, listen, I have my issues with Reason Magazine. I don't think they're as libertarian as they like to pretend they are. However, they do some good work here from now and again. And this is one of Zohran Mamdani's top advisors talking about how we should start dealing with housing. Go ahead and roll that first one, Belle.
Anybody who needs housing should get it. We need to advocate vigorously for projects and policy proposals that get us closer to a universal right to housing. And that doesn't mean that housing doesn't cost money to own and operate and run. It just means that if you can't afford it, you should be able to get it anyway. We need to sort of think about the role that sort of exclusion and profit, which are the sort of characteristics of the private property market, have played, and think about different systems and structures that we could put into place that would help more people be housed.
You said the relationship between landlords and tenants is inherently exploitative. So what you're proposing is a rental market that is entirely financed by the government, or that is just financed by the government for those who are in need?
Yeah, financed by the government.
Entirely financed by the government.
Yeah, that's what I think long term, yeah.
Whenever anyone's not paying their rent, the government will pay it.
Something like that.
And I don't take no orders from no woman, by the way.
That was from back in 2021. That video is, but like
that's tough.
The word salad that woman used is, she sounds like an 18-year-old who just started her first semester at some Ivy League school.
Didn't take an economics class yet.
Liberal arts degree. And she's like, her entire point, and this is the number one problem really with socialism and communism at large. She starts with the premise of what something that is a right that is not a right to housing. I don't know how many people in our audience need to hear this, but I'm going to spout it out anyway. Nothing is a right that requires the labor, the money, or the time of any other individual. It's that simple. Like that. Yeah. That is what defines what a right is.
And the reason why that's important to distinguish is because, like the retort would be, well, billionaires could be able to afford a few extra dollars. Sure.
Okay, voluntarily, fine.
But even if it was forced, the billionaires are the ones who are orchestrating the tax plans, that are orchestrating the fiscal policy and the monetary policy that is going to fund this. It's those rich people that are going to do that. And those rich people are going to do everything they can to have a bunch of lawyers help themselves litigate out of paying for it. And that's going to leave people who are doing a tiny bit better off than the person that has to rely on the government to pay for it. And so now you're forcing that person to pay for something else at the behest of themselves, lowering themselves instead of raising everyone else up through some sort of innovation or, a way just innovation in general that leads to higher productivity, for the time being spent and things like that. And it's going to be people who, instead of it making it better for the people who now have this right to rise up in society, You're just gonna pull the other people down and have to rely on the government in that society as well. I mean,
It's
like every
true.
time you see this stuff happen, like look at student loans. Look at right now the disastrous fucking healthcare system that America has. It's great if you're super, super rich
or poor. It's
or
really,
really,
shitty
really
for anybody,
poor.
or
But
it's shitty for everybody in
everyone
the middle.
I get the principle. I get the idea of making people who are at the top help just like chip in a little bit more. It's like, do you really need to own 4 yachts? Like, in principle, like you should be allowed to in a free market. That's fine. Like, I get it. Like, if you want to and you work to that point, then yes, you can. There should be no government infringing you on your right to do that. But it's like when they go to like, do you really need to own 4 yachts? It's like you could chip in some money. It's not going to be them pitching in the money.
Yeah, Corey, that's such a good point, right? Because I've been going over this as more of the Mamdani stuff's come out, and I've been thinking about socialism a lot more than I want to, and like not in a good way, not as in like, oh, I think I'm going to become a socialist. That's not what I mean. I just mean like thinking about like conceptually what socialists believe, and they always do this thing a lot like what we do with trying to pull at the heartstrings about, saving other people from tyrants in other countries. What they do is they go, well, it's just moral for us to force the more rich people to pay more money, or if you have the means, you should be forced to pay these taxes to help the more destitute people. And it always starts from that place of virtue, right? But I've always looked at it like, who has the shittier outlook on mankind? Is it socialists or is it capitalists? Because socialists will tell you that it's capitalists, right? They're greedy. They keep all of their own money. But the entire concept of charity in capitalism is that it's voluntary. But in socialism, that charity is forced. So who has the shittier outlook on mankind? The people that think we have to force people to pay charity through taxes? Because human beings are just not good enough people to do it on their own? Or is it the economic system where all charity is voluntary? Who has the shittier outlook on human beings? Socialists or capitalists? It's so obvious. It's obviously socialists that have the shitty.
Yeah. But yeah, because it goes back to like what you were saying, like if you have to force someone else's time, means, or use their assets to like take care of someone else, that's not freedom.
No. I think everybody should have freedom, but you got Bernie Sanders talking about ending the oligarchy. These people are just driving me.
And they'll retort, right? Like when it comes to doctors, well, doctors will keep becoming doctors because they get paid good.
Why don't we ask Canadian doctors how they feel right now? Because they're leaving Canada in droves. They're leaving Canada in droves. It's because it's not profitable to be a doctor, especially a PCP in Canada right now, because of socialized medicine. And it's a give and take, right? There are no
again,
there are no solutions. There are only trade-offs, right? You can have free healthcare, but it's going to be shitty. It's going to be shitty in some way. You're either going to wait 30 fucking months for an important surgery.
I know.
Or you're going to get shitty healthcare to start with, or it can be privatized and it can be expensive. But
but ours is fucked up because it's big business stuck in.
It's both. It's
both. Big government.
Right. It's big. It's cronyism.
Like
cronyism.
Why couldn't I just pay? Like they have mobile car mechanics. Why can't I just make a personal contract with someone who went to school and they show me their credentials, and then I could go, all right, you seem like you're a legitimate doctor, or no, you got your fucking degree online. Like as a doctor, like I'm not gonna do that. But if I wanted to, I should be able to. But like if someone's just a good fucking doctor, I should be able to be like, hey, bring your stuff. Like everyone gets a checkup. You're not using an MRI machine. You're not using an X-ray machine. You're not doing all of the craziness, you know, like if it's just a checkup, like a physical, that a doctor knows what to look for when he grabs your balls, when he tells you to turn your head and cough. Hey, I'm gonna check your blood pressure. I'm gonna look in your ears. I'm gonna look at your eyes. I know everything to look for. Why can't I pay someone who's a doctor just out of pocket? Like, hey, if 6 months is up, here's $100. Come over to my house, you know, just at home visit. You got your backpack full of your gear. Give me a little checkup, a little tune up. Go on your merry way.
Because the medical lobby,
right,
puts red tape in the way.
It's fucking stupid.
Same with
it costs $6,000. I don't know. Actually, that's probably exorbitant. It's probably like $600, and your insurance covers $500 of it, or $550 until your deductible is up.
It just speaks to the thing that frustrates me the most about so many of these leftists, where they recognize the problem. They've diagnosed the problem, but they're really shitty at figuring out the cause and figuring out the solution or the trade-off. Like they realize, hey, oligarchy is a big problem. And, you know, whatever it is, billionaires have way too much power over our government. The problem is it's not the billionaires' fault that they're playing the game that the government rigged in their favor. It's the government that's the problem. You're looking at the wrong side of this.
Yeah.
It's the bloated government that allows these people to play the games that they play that are the problem. Somebody being a billionaire is not an inherently evil thing.
No, it's not.
You got to wring the necks of these people sometimes, I swear.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Oh, by the way, Zohran, do you have the other? You have the other video, don't you, Bell? This is another video of that broad.
And I don't take no orders from no woman, by the way.
Go ahead. Second one. He's working.
Envisioning as a world in which a housing is owned by a collective and people are paying 30% of their income in order to live in their housing. If your income is zero, you pay zero. If your income is $500,000 a year, you're paying 30% of that. And the government is providing
for housing.
Sort of.
Yep.
The government is the sort of owner, or not even the owner. The government doesn't have to be the owner, but the government is what's making sure all of that sort of works in cash flows.
The debt to GDP ratio right now is the highest since World War II. So how can the federal government also afford to start subsidizing rental housing costs?
The federal government prints money. The federal government can provide money for those.
So it's by printing money.
Sure.
And I don't listen to women yelling. I tell them to shut up.
We get anybody yelling around here anymore today, and then the shit is going to hit the fan.
This woman is an advisor to the mayor of New York City and doesn't even understand how money works. She doesn't even understand how money works.
Every time a dollar is printed, the previous dollar is worth less.
Oh God. It's just like, if I lived in New York, I would be out of there now.
Dude, the whole thing
right
was she's like, if you make $0, you pay zero income. If you make $500,000, you pay 30%. So she's talking 30%. About and they're building, it's New York, so they're building apartment complexes, apartment buildings. So you're going to have some property manager who's trying to bundle a basically flat wage that's being covered by everybody in a building where a bunch of people are making $0. And like you're talking about creating like slumlords because then they're also talking about rent control. But like if I'm making $500K and I have a luxury apartment in a building and I'm paying 30% of my income, which would be what? That would be what, 150K? Yeah, it'd be.
Why am I incentivized to live in a building with somebody who pays nothing? This is the thing that.
Why am I going to live in a building and pay 150K of my dollars in the same building as someone else who is paying $0?
Because you're a good person, Corey.
when I would just move somewhere else and have the same quality apartment for, like in New York for $30K. You figure someone's paying $2K, $2K, $3K a month, $40K.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, this is what higher education in the United States is teaching these people right now. And that's why when you get into an argument with some leftist on the internet,
Liberty Switcher goes, who do you think voted for Mamdani? She's not unique. A huge portion of the under 30 crowd thinks just like she does. And you know why? Because our department, because our schoolings are failing our kids, because it's a big government that runs the Department of Education. And the kids are still being taught this shit, whether it's a Republican that's in charge or a fucking Democrat that's in charge.
Dude, it's why when somebody goes, when you're online and you're arguing with somebody, because these arguments don't happen in person, as I've stated many, many times, because when you're arguing online, you're not actually arguing with a human being. At least that's what your brain tells you. And they go, and they still talk about a college degree as if it's this unbelievably powerful credential. Like, you can't possibly know anything about economics. But Robert Reich was I don't know where his fucking degrees are from. I think he teaches at NYU, but Robert Reich he's so brilliant because he has the little piece of paper that says that he's so brilliant when he's a fucking Keynesian dipshit.
He's very Keynesian, isn't he?
He is an absolute fucking moron. He doesn't even know he's an economist who doesn't even know the first thing about economics. You don't have to study this stuff for very long to be smarter on economics than somebody like Robert Reich.
There's basic principles, right? Just supply and demand. There's a finite amount of resource. There's a finite amount of resources in any aspect, whether it's time, actual or capital, or the resources themselves. There's a finite amount of all of it.
And these people look at it backwards. They look at wealth. They look at wealth as if wealth is finite, as if wealth is this pie that we all split. Wealth can be created. Wealth can be destroyed, right? Resources, as you were saying, Corey, not so much. Those are finite, but you can innovate ways to turn those resources, those finite resources, into more wealth. It's not a pie. Socialists look at it like it's a pie, like they need a bigger slice of the pie to take it. They have to take it away from that evil billionaire that did nothing. Like that billionaire didn't invent anything, doesn't apply
things, but not in the economy.
Jobs, doesn't apply supply thousands of jobs. Like, literally doesn't do anything. And listen, I'm no defender of billionaires and their personality and their quote unquote greed, whatever that even means, right? Because these people like to bring up greed all the time. These greedy people. Greed in and of itself is a subjective term. You know what I mean? It's not, it doesn't mean anything. Greed doesn't mean anything. And it's not inherently bad either.
Yeah, you're right. A homeless person watching another homeless person hoard all the shopping carts in a parking lot would consider him greedy.
Right. Or Corey, if you and I are out playing golf together and you ask me for one of my nicotine pouches and I say, no, you going to call me a greedy capitalist?
Yes.
Greedy. You didn't give me a nicotine pouch. These might make you shit your pants.
What does it?
Oh, Lord, Jesus!
Oh, I don't even want to play the Mamdani video, but the other Mamdani video, because he just goes on to say that what's he going to have to do, Corey? He's going to have to raise property taxes. If Kathy Hochul,
dude, rent caps and property taxes.
What could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong if you cap rent and you raise the taxes on the property owners? Nothing could possibly go wrong in that scenario. But I think the goal is
stagnates the move of people moving in and out of the building, and then it doesn't help. And then it also stagnates the income of the landlord while inflation is constant. And then it comes to the point where
the landlord can't keep the building up, and you turn the place into a slum, dude. This is fucking socialism 101.
Right. Yeah, you can't keep the building up because you're not taking the income to match the inflation that's happening, and then you go from owning an apartment building that is an asset and is generating money for you to just a write-off.
And then you leave, and then you're a landlord who, I mean, the goal seems to be, they'll never admit this, but the goal seems to be the traditional communist way, right? So you roll in, you cap rent, which is essentially a price control. You cap rent, you raise the
Trump
property
loves
taxes.
those, by the way.
He does. You raise the property taxes on the landowner. You get the landowner or the property owner to sell the property to the government, which in this case would be the New York City government, who can then redistribute it and boost the rest of the taxes all around until there's essentially nothing left. It's the Margaret Thatcher, socialism is wonderful until you run out of everyone else's money. And it's already beginning. Like I cannot wait until I can put the Bart Simpson meme up in 4 years when people say that wasn't real socialism, because that's what always happens. They try it, it goes around and around, and there's always a little honeymoon period with socialism, because there's always that space before the economic reality sets in. Kind of like when you give out stimulus checks, like right away it's great, right? Everybody's got all this extra money. The money supply hasn't been functionally inflated yet. So there's always a little honeymoon period, and then you finally get back around to everything becomes shitty, the property becomes dilapidated, inflation skyrockets, and then it fails, and then they go, well, that wasn't real socialism.
You watched the show Parks and Rec, right?
Me? No.
Yeah. You never watched Parks and Rec?
Mm-mm.
All right, so
That's
there's
one I never got around to.
It's actually pretty good. You should watch it. The first season's really dry. It's kind of shitty, but then because they tried to mimic The Office like to a T, right? Where like the leader, like the boss, was kind of incompetent, but then they made it to where it wasn't that so much anymore, and they created an actual character for everyone of their own. But there's a character,
weird cramp in my back. Ooh.
There's a character in it, and he ends up being like works for the state as a city manager for when cities call bankruptcy, and they go in there and they try to restructure their debt and restructure their budget. But in the show, he's 18, and he gets elected as a mayor of some city, and so he completely bankrupts the city by trying to create this ice town to make the city a destination for people to come to. And it just reminds me of some Mamdani, where he just has all these ideas of grandeur, and it's just going to completely just tank the goddamn city.
Yeah, it's going to be ugly, man. It's going to be interesting to watch. But the whole thing about it is, you just hope that it will finally be, because it will be happening in front of our eyes in 4K. You just hope it'll finally be the thing that makes people understand socialism is a terrible fucking concept.
Well, but they won't. They'll blame it on like it was. Oh well, the governor didn't give him the money. Like he was
the capitalists. Somehow it'll be capitalism's fault.
It's gonna be Dan. It's gonna be just like what it's looking like, that pure libertarianism in Argentina is failing, and then a bunch of people are gonna say, "Oh, it didn't work right."
Dude, it's not. Right. It's not failing.
They're protesting like crazy right now. He just made it to where people have to like work longer, and that people can pay people that live there, instead of cash, they could pay them in like housing or something like that. And it's just like, that's because it's the short-term view of human beings. But if you look at the numbers, but he like Bell, look it up. Look up the protests in Argentina right now. because
Argentina's inflation rate has plummeted.
Sure.
Plummeted since he came into power.
Sure. But like they're out there rioting right now because like something to do with like workers' hours. What'd you say?
It says that the strikes are near standstill. Oh, no, they are popping off. Over labor reform. No, I read that wrong. I'm like, why is it a near standstill? No, Argentina labor reform faces key lower house vote as unions stage nationwide strike.
Yeah, of course unions are going to be striking against libertarian policy. Of course they are. Why wouldn't they, Corey?
Well, the labor reforms that would restrict the right to strike and roll back employment benefits.
All right, well, that's silly. That's a bad policy. That's a bad policy.
Because in a free market, like why is it like whenever we talk about like the free market, it's always about doing stuff that the government gets out of the way of the business owner. But like, why isn't it never like the worker? Like that's the thing, and that's what makes people become socialists. Like that idea, like in a free market, that the workers themselves should be able to have a free market response to the business owners in the free market, separate from the government. I'm not saying that the government needs to do this. What I'm saying is like, if there's a business owner in a free market of people being able to be free and sell their time in response for a wage from this person, once you get into that deal, like, why does it have to be, well, then just quit your job and go work somewhere else? Why can't they try to negotiate that? Why can't they work on that?
Right. They should be able to negotiate.
But I'm looking for the other part, because there was something about like longer hours that like the labor, like some of the labor benefits, like the employees, the employers now can just say, oh, you got to work 12 hours now instead of 8.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, that's free market, and you can leave and go find a new job somewhere.
So, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I hope that this free market approach and like this libertarian approach also is being used to protect the people that are striking and protesting, but it doesn't sound like that. It just sounds like government just trying to protect big business versus government trying to protect everyone.
Well, I mean, the government, in a truly free market society would have no place to step in either direction, either in support of big business or in support of the workers.
But I'm looking at videos right now, or not videos, but pictures of the government hosing and shooting at protesters.
All right, I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I should know more, but I don't. Sorry, we haven't been able to keep track of Argentina and Milei over the last 3 or 4 months, but he was just recently reelected. Or not him, but his government was. We'll see where it goes. There's lots of anti-libertarian propaganda out there, so we'll have to see.
There's more what do you think there's more propaganda of, libertarianism or socialism?
Like against libertarianism or against socialism?
Yeah.
I would say socialism, just because it's a larger movement. Far larger movement than the libertarian movement.
Milei's reforms, which have now passed Argentina's Senate, include the elimination of 30 days of paid leave, an increase in the working day up to 12 hours, easier layoffs for employers, reduced unemployment benefits, and restriction on the right to strike. These reforms come in the context of high rates of inflation and poverty, which are coming down. So that's
the only thing that you mentioned there that I have a problem with is the reduction in the right to strike, because the government in a libertarian society should not have the ability to tell workers they can't strike.
The rest of it, they're fucking up. They're putting the cart in front of the horse. in a sense, right?
Fair enough. Yeah, the government should have no place to tell workers they can't strike.
Leave it to libertarians to fucking libertarian themselves out of a goddamn job. It's so goddamn frustrating.
It'll be fine. Poverty levels are way down in Argentina. Inflation is way down in Argentina, and it's because of the slashes. Now, when you have if you have a guy like Milei who lets the power get a little bit to his head, all of a sudden his libertarian streak starts to take a little bit of a hit, and by reducing the right to strike, there's nothing libertarian about that. Shall we make fun of AOC real quick?
Oh, I guess pensions are getting fucked with. Yeah, go ahead. Let's make fun of AOC.
Free market. Oh my God, that word salad. Bell, get that video up of her in Munich. I think probably a lot of our listeners and viewers have seen this already. But this bitch, she seems to be kind of throwing her hat in the ring for the Democratic nomination in maybe not in 2028, but certainly beyond that. And she doesn't understand the first thing about foreign policy.
I'm going to go take a leak while you play this video.
And the thing that's so frustrating about it, go ahead, Corey. The thing that's so frustrating about it is you have people like us on this show and other commentators that are self-proclaimed, not experts or brilliant on these types of subjects. But we know the first thing about it. And AOC demonstrating that she knows absolutely nothing and maybe even is a little bit of a neocon. Go ahead and roll it, Bill.
And to all of you, and I'll start with you, would and should the U.S. actually commit use troops to defend if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is a policy of the United States, and what we're hoping for is that we make sure that we never get to that point. We want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation and that question to even arise.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
All right. So I know you all heard that word salad, and it's not even so much the word salad. It's the fact that she hasn't even bothered to learn anything about American foreign policy. And how do you know that? Watch her eyes in this video. She is clearly trying to remember what is on her flashcards, like she's a first grader taking her first spelling test. This was a flashcard answer. Instead of just giving an honest answer, she's like, oh, shit, what did they tell me to say? What am I supposed to say here? And further on in this, whatever this was, this Munich conference, she basically talks about like rules-based order, and just she sounded like a goddamn neoconservative when she starts talking about this stuff. This is how you know this woman was always a fraud.
You understood any of that?
No,
I
at
mean,
least not.
I don't know. It didn't sound like the audio on my end sounded really bad.
I just know what it is. I guess
we're playing for an audience of two.
I had watched it so many times. She's like these are the people that are supposed to lead this nation, which is supposed to be the best and most powerful nation in all the world. And these are the people. This is why, Corey, how many times do we say it on this show? these people in Congress, outside of it, very, very few exceptions, are so, the word I always use is unimpressive. I don't go to like calling them morons or anything like that, because they're brilliant in certain ways. Like, they're really good at running campaigns. They're really good at getting themselves elected, and they're really good at collecting donations, and they're really good at feeding red meat to their little base so that they'll step out to the polls and vote for them and shit on the other side and pretend to hate each other so that you and your neighbor will hate each other based on who you voted for. They're really good at that kind of shit. What they're really bad at is actually leading and actually putting forth any sort of decent policy. Trump's no exception to that. AOC is certainly no exception to that. There's no way anybody with an IQ over 75 can go to the polls and be happy to vote for this woman. At least in a national presidential election.
I guess it depends on who the lesser of the two evils is, right? But yeah, no,
that's it.
I don't think she will be. So there was that video, but then I watched a whole like hour-long video today, and it was AOC, our governor Gretchen Whitmer, and the ambassador, I think, to NATO. I forget his name. He's a bald guy, but it was.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Like, listen to them giving their answers and stuff like that on this world stage about foreign policy and stuff. Whitmer actually didn't look terrible compared to AOC. AOC was giving.
She looked pretty terrible because she just kept passing it off to somebody else, admitting she knows nothing. But this is supposed to be a Democratic frontrunner.
Yeah, she did, but like when they would press her and she'd be like, well, you know, like this isn't something that I deal with. She goes, but when it comes to relationships, she was able to talk about foreign policy and her relationships with like Canada and stuff. And that like when it comes to the idea, like she definitely kept it to like an audience of one for like Michigan Midwestern type shit, because then like she was still kind of doing her platitudes, right? Like
we're Michiganders.
Yeah, she used that word a lot. And she was like, you know, like when it comes, like, you know, there's a saying back home where, you know, trust comes in a teaspoon. Trust gain comes in a teaspoon, but trust lost comes in a gallon.
Never heard it. I lived in Michigan my whole life. I haven't fucking heard that.
He's talking about freedom.
Or she might,
you fucking queers.
She might have said like her aunt or her grandma or something said that, right? But it was funny because she definitely handled the questions better. It still felt like platitudes, but it felt like normal politician platitudes. AOC floundered. And don't get me wrong,
she was checking her flashcards.
AOC is going to win, you know, her seat again, no problem, for the House. Like, that's still locked in. She's still popular. But moving up into foreign policy, like hearing those, it's like I'm sitting here and I'm listening to this, and it's like, I don't know, like, maybe because I'm not coached and I'm not in it, but I feel like I could just easily go, yeah, that's happening because we meddled in Ukraine. So we probably shouldn't do that anymore. That's my foreign policy. Like, you know, like, oh yeah, you know, that's happening because of this, because America does this. Like, it's like, I've read a couple books. I know that this stuff is happening.
But they're taking the platitudes out of the neo.
And I don't listen to women yelling. I tell them to shut up.
When I came back in my room, I spilled a beer on some papers, and I'm
no,
be smooth and still talk on the show, and also
on your walking papers.
Yeah, well, ironically, it actually is my COVID papers that I was talking about on the show like a week ago. I spilled beer on my papers.
Yeah, that sucks.
And then a bunch of accounting papers.
Okay.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Shut up, bitch.
Is that directed at me or AOC?
That was directed at you.
Do you have anything else you want to discuss when it comes as it relates to AOC, or do we want to get to your TikToks? I don't think we missed anything. We talked about Kid Rock and RFK Jr. homoing out.
Oh man, I wrote something on the paper.
I don't mean to be that guy, but I'm kind of God. It's just like getting a little bit tired of it being all Epstein all the time. But we got to talk about it, and we did. Oh, I got one more thing, Corey or Bell. Did I send you the Tim Burchett video? I am really starting to like Tim Burchett a lot. I'm starting to like him more and more every day and every time.
You trust your mother every night to fix your hot pockets and make sure your Game Boy is turned on.
Yes, that Tim Burchett. You got it, Bell? Can Bell hear me? If not, I can pull it up. Because he is. Oh, he's got it. I couldn't tell. His face isn't on the screen, so I couldn't. Here he was talking.
Oh,
to
that's Cuomo. I haven't seen his face in a while.
Yeah, he was talking to Chris Cuomo.
Why does Tim Burchett look like he's on a 3-day bender at Tip Up Town,
dude?
in fucking Houghton Lake, Michigan.
So many of these Congress people, even a lot of the good ones, they do. They all look like postmenopausal lesbians. I don't know what it is, but here we are. Tim Burchett's one of the real ones. Go ahead and roll it, Bell.
Justice Department is a multi-leveled onion, and I've said this all along. I wish they just fired them all, fired every dadgum one of them, and started over, because you're never going to get to the bottom of this thing, Chris. It's just like the Kennedy assassination. I was on this committee this year, and I asked a doctor the question of, did I think there was more than one bullet? And he said, of course there's more than one bullet. And he shows a diagram of Kennedy's head and the way the bullets went. He was in the room there when they brought Kennedy in. That should have been a national news story. This is Washington, D.C. 101, Chris. You grew up in it. I've just been brought into it rather late. But it's all a cover-up. The whole place is slimy. People want to call it a swamp. I said, quit calling it a swamp, man. Swamp is something pretty cool. God created it. Filters water. Animal life lives around it. This place is a sewer. It is man-made. It is crooked as a dog's leg. Both parties have sold out to the sewer, not to the swamp. There is a uniparty, and we're all just, I'm the 435th most powerful member of Congress. Nobody gives a rip what I say. We're all just out here dangling on a string. But until America gets off their butts on election day, that's Democrats and Republicans, and sees what's going on, and we have more than 12% of the dadgum population going to the polls, Chris, this kind of stuff will happen every day. It happens every time. You're right. The Democrats had this stuff for 4 years. They didn't do anything. We've had it for, I guess, 9 months now, maybe. Now we're putting this stuff out, and it's heavily redacted. Well, of course it's going to be heavily redacted. This is Washington. This is what we've created, and we've allowed this to infiltrate. We've allowed this bunch of dirtbags in Washington, D.C. to control our lives. I was in a meeting like this past week, Chris, and I'm not, I just say I was in a situation where I can't talk about I just say that I can't talk about the subject or what we were talking about. But so we asked a question, and they said that the president was on a need-to-know basis. I mean, you think that our leaders are actually running this place? You got another thing coming, man. You need to get out and experience reality some ways. I'm sitting here on my farm in Tennessee, and I'm loving life, but I know the reality of what's going on around me. There is evil in this world, brother. There is evil. And we need some, and you said it in your earlier spot, we need some Old Testament judgment to come down on these people. Because one little girl, I was in the meeting, and I say one little girl, she was a little girl when she was raped. And I hate it when people say they had sex with old men. They didn't have sex. They were raped. They were violated. The most horrible things happened to these ladies, little girls. And this girl said, I blacked out everything in my memory. And, God gives people that ability sometimes when something's just so horrific. And she said, I want to see those files so I know what's in them. And I said, do you want them released? And she said, no, I don't. I wish people would understand, though, there's a group of people out there that are involved in this, that don't want their names released. And there is some protection within the writing of the law. But you're correct in every one of your assumptions where you said that, who goes after the Justice Department when they screw up? I mean, it's like, no, nobody goes after the Justice Department. And I think that's inherently what's wrong with this, the way they passed this thing and what they passed. They should have had a clause in there for punishment for refusing to do that. Cutting off funds, doing something. Congress is the checkbook. We should have done that. Cut off their freaking money. Why do we keep funding these bureaucrats that just constantly thumb their nose at the American public? I don't know. I'm very frustrated with Washington. I've been there 8 years. And my biggest surprise was when I got to Washington, Chris.
What?
I was not surprised.
What a journalist.
I was not surprised. I didn't go there cynical. I came there cynical. And I've just figured out the system a little more every day. But it's a crooked town, dude. Your daddy and my daddy, they fought. They were noble. They were honorable. They believed in their party. They believed in their country. But at the end of the day, they still communicated. There is no communication now. Everything's just handed down from on high, from our leadership, not necessarily the White House, but our leadership. The same way in the Democrat Party. They just do a better job of being unified. Our guys go off, and I think that's a lot of our strength, actually, is our ability to do that and still survive. But there is no communication between the parties. Justice Department is
and he did. This wasn't the one I was thinking of, and I don't think I sent this one to Bell, but that's okay. There was another one where he was on with Sean Spicy Spicer, and he was talking about how, and I didn't know this about Tim Burchett, and I actually, this is kind of badass. The dude makes skateboards. Did you know that? Like, he builds his own skateboards.
Who, Tim Burchett?
Yeah. And he was talking about how he would like go around Congress, and he would he'd give him his gifts to people, and like, and he was pulled aside and said, "Hey, Tim, you can't do that. You have to, there are channels and there's paperwork." And he's talking about all this stuff he had to do to be able to like give away the skateboards or donate them or whatever it was. I don't remember the exact context, but he went, I find it really, really interesting that I can't give a congressman a skateboard that I made as a gift, but we can sit here all fucking day and insider trade in Congress with no repercussions whatsoever. And it's just like, I don't know that it could be articulated any better than Tim Burchett did in those times.
You trust your mother every night to fix your hot pockets and make sure your Game Boy is turned on.
It's just, he explains it so simply, and he's not that's the whole thing that people need to understand is like, he's not the first to do this. He articulated it really well. He sounds a lot more frustrated, but who else has said this kind of stuff, Corey? We've heard George Santos say these kinds of things. He was booted from Congress on some bullshit charges. Marjorie Taylor Greene has said some similar things. Tulsi Gabbard, before she fucking went all goofy and MAGA, and we actually shit. The only thing I disagree with Tim Burchett on is I really don't think it's as simple as just more Americans showing up to the polls. I think what Americans need to demand is just demand better representation and recognize that just because you see that face on the TV, because that campaign gets a lot of money donated to it, doesn't necessarily mean that that's the fucking best person for the job. And like, sometimes there are better candidates, even within the two parties. Your Democratic primary, your Republican primary, ballot access. These are the things that need to change. It's not just showing up to the polls. I don't think that's a fact. Our way out of this nonsense. That's a black pill that I've taken for sure. I don't think we're voting our way out of any of this.
Right. Like, the only voting that we could do is just shrink the federal government. That's where I'm at, basically. I'm not black-pilled. It's just voting for anybody that says they want the federal government to be smaller. Like, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, it's I guess it's kind of a black pill, because it's like, I don't trust the government to the point that I want less of them. And I'm willing to vote for anybody who says that they just want less federal government. And not state government, not city government, not local, like nothing here that's affecting my life directly. But I want the federal government, their bureaucracy, all of their bullshit, all of their sponge of taking all of our fucking money and then being able to have that money streamlined and work more efficiently in a state government. Not that saying that the state government's going to be the most efficient thing, but the state government's going to be a hell of a lot more efficient than the federal government. You know why? Because the state can't print its own goddamn money. They at least have to stick to the confines of the dollars that they have on hand.
Yeah. And
what makes states sloppy is when the government can just subsidize their sloppiness with printed money.
Very successful, very rich.
It's true. Yep. I don't have anything else. You got any talks for us?
No, we mentioned greed earlier. Like the reason why a Coke can or a 12-ounce can of Coke is $3 now or $2 now. You know what I mean? Like it's probably like, actually, I think a 12 ounce is probably still like 99 cents or $1, right? But the reason why it's not 50 cents like it was 30 years ago, or 25 cents 50 years ago, or a nickel 70 years ago, or whatever, is not because Coca-Cola is greedy. They could sell a shit ton more of those fucking cans at a cheaper price. But it's because the value of the dollar has gone down. Because the federal government keeps printing money.
It's always government. But without
And why does the federal government keep printing money? Because we keep going to war.
Mm-hmm. Just
skip down to the third video, Dan or Bell. Actually, this one right here actually ties right into that pretty well. It's Dave Smith. Dave Smith is someone on this show that we actually really value his opinion. We went and saw him live once.
Ooh.
But he's on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he explains like what I just basically said, just like the inflation that's happening in our country is because the government just keeps printing the money for pet projects, but mostly just war. So go ahead and play that video.
And if not war, let me add this too, Corey. If not war, it definitely influence. That's what USAID is. Go ahead, Bill.
25 years, we've spent close to $10 trillion on wars, and they didn't tax the American people for that, because they know they couldn't tax us enough to pay. We would put an end to it. If they tried to raise everybody's taxes enough to come up with $10 trillion because we want to go fight regime change wars all over the Middle East, the American people would have been like, no, we're not doing that. But they didn't do that. They kept taxes where they were. I think they even cut some rates during those years, top rates. And then they borrowed the rest, and they still couldn't borrow enough. So they just print the money. And then essentially what happens is that the price of everything just goes up and up and up. And that you just put more money into the system. And then people start looking around and going like, geez, why is the price of housing and healthcare and energy and childcare totally unaffordable? And the answer is because you're paying for the war in Iraq. And nobody thinks about it like that. But that's really what's going on. They can't. So for all the young people who are coming out of college now, and they're like, I'm 150 grand in debt. I have a gender studies major degree or whatever, maybe something better than that, but they got an English degree or something, and they're working at DoorDash, and the average house is going for 600 grand. And they're like, what am I possibly going to do? It's like the reason why these kids are all demanding socialism, at least on the left, is because like, what else are you going to do? Like, how do you even, but the reason why that is the case is because your government decided to spend trillions of dollars on blowing up brown countries, and in some cases then rebuilding them to blow them up again. I mean, this is the actual cost of the thing. And I feel like it's almost nobody outside of like the Ron Paul libertarians, the Austrian economics guys, almost nobody else makes this connection. That it's like, this is the deal. You can't be a world empire without having a central bank that can print money for you, because otherwise it just doesn't work. Resources are finite and you'll run out of them. And so you can't do that without having this monetary system. But the cost of this monetary system is that prices always go up and up and up and up. And that rigs the entire economy against the working class and the middle class in favor of the rich. It's just the way it is. When the value of assets is going up and up and up and up, that's great if you own stuff. That's great if you own stuff and you're selling it. If you got $1 billion in the bank, inflation is your best friend. But if you're on a fixed income or you're a working class person, it just destroys you. 25 years, we've spent close to 10 trillion.
You know what another great point to add to that is? People always wonder, especially on the right, why do billionaires support socialism so much? And it's exactly what Dave Smith just said right there. If money is printed and printed and printed and printed, and you have assets that you can hold on to that grow in value, it's good for you as a rich person. So like if it's almost like there's a point where it's like if you're poor enough, socialism sounds really good. And if you're rich enough, socialism sounds really good because you're already rich.
Right.
And all you're going to do is get richer. It's everybody in the middle because
if you buy something at $100 and the value of the dollar keeps decreasing, so like your asset that is just, a house. If a house is worth $100,000 on the day of that $100,000 is printed, it's worth $100,000. $100,000 gets printed the next day. Your asset didn't change, but the value of the dollar got cut in half. So now your house is worth $200,000. And all you did was just sit there and not do shit.
You just sat there on your assets. Like that's why people like Bill Gates support socialist policy. They don't want outright communism, right? But they will support socialist policy.
They want to privatize. Yeah, they want to private. They want
privatize the profits and socialize the losses.
Yeah, socialize all the benefits to print all the dollar bills to make it to where all of my assets that I own that the government doesn't own, because that's why they don't want communism. They want socialism.
And that's the problem with banks. That was always the problem with banks. Banks, their growth is privatized and their losses are socialized. We saw that in the 2008 economic crash. Too big to fail. Too big to fail. Money is fake, folks. I don't know who needs to hear that, but money is fake.
Well, it's been fake since we went on the fiat currency, and it wasn't just backed in gold.
Money is fake.
All right. What do we got here? I got a couple funny videos. I have MTG talking about Trump called her on the phone and said that stop talking about Epstein because it hurts his friends. We don't got to play that one. We don't got to play. The other video is our girl Blakely. She's talking about how the Biden administration didn't go into the Epstein files. But you know what? She's fun. She's fun to just hear go off. So go ahead and play the one that we care about, the independence of the DOJ.
You can play that one, and we're 2 hours in, bro. We got to get out of here pretty quick, pretty soon. That just means it was a good episode. All right, let's hear Blakely.
A lot of people are asking today, why didn't the Biden administration release the Epstein files when they had the chance? I already know the answer to that question. And I think a lot of people know the answer to that question. I have a different question. And my question is for liberals and those who support the Democratic Party unquestionably and will defend everything they do. The blue MAGA types. Why aren't you more angry that they didn't? Why aren't you more angry that Merrick Garland and Biden's DOJ had all this information and didn't indict anybody? Why didn't they indict Trump? Jack Smith had the evidence needed once he did his investigation about January 6th to indict Trump. Why didn't they do it sooner? For all the talk of, it's a political prosecution against Trump, they really didn't do shit. No, you know what came out in the news recently? Biden administration was investigating Ilhan Omar. Instead of going after the people in the Epstein file, instead of going after Trump for his crimes, they were investigating Ilhan Omar on bullshit. So When Harris was asked why didn't they release the Epstein files, her bullshit answer was, it was because we really cared about the independence of the DOJ. What does that have to do with actually going after the people who are criminals? Because there's a lot of people in those files that are criminals that should have been arrested. Why didn't you go after that? Oh, because we didn't want the DOJ not to look independent. You know, by not going after people that you know are criminals, that's not being independent. That's political. We all know why they didn't really release them, because it's bipartisan and elites protect elites. There are both tons of Republicans and tons of Democrats in those files. I mean, Larry Summers, who is a darling of the Democratic establishment, they literally tapped him to write Project 2029 to fight back against the Republicans. He is all over those files. So the question is for Blue MAGA, when are you going to actually start directing some of your ire at the people in power that allowed this to happen? Because for all of you who spend all your time yelling Jill Stein into the void, why don't any of you sit with the fact that they did this to you? That those in power, the Democrats, the Biden administration, allowed for Trump to become president again, knowing all this information about him and knowing that this information was devastating and that he could have been in jail right now with the shit that Jack Smith had on him, totally separate and apart from this. But at the very least, had these files come out sooner, it is unlikely he would have won again. I know a lot of you won't ask yourselves that question because that is a hard pill to swallow, especially when you have been doing free, basically, propaganda for them and trying to convince yourself that they were going to save you, but they're not. You should be furious that they did not indict Trump. You should be furious that Merrick Garland sat on his fucking hands for years. And you should be furious that they did not release these files. A lot of people are asking today, why didn't the Biden...
It's a fact.
I have an actual, we have actual audio of a response from some of those Blue MAGA types to Blakely here.
And I don't take no orders from no woman, by the way. And I don't listen to women yelling. I tell them to shut up.
I have another one. We just have a ton of these right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. The children.
How about we all come together and say, let's stop attacking pedophiles?
Then we got Biden. Biden during all of this.
My 67 Corvette.
Let's get out of here, Corey. Tell the people where they can find us.
All right. Libservative Podcast is found on all social media and podcast platforms. Our website is libservativeshow.com. We can find the Libservative on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, Instagram and Twitter at LibservativePod. Our TikTok videos can be found directly at Libservative Podcast, and you can reach out directly at libservativepod@gmail.com. Subscribe today.
If you like the show, tell a friend. Word of mouth always helps. For Bell the Body Snatcher on the ones and twos, he as always has been Corey Walsh.
He's been Dan Griffin.
It's been Libservative Intellectual Idiots fostering political and cultural literacy and the world's smartest internet show. And until next time.
I don't listen to women yelling. I tell them to shut up.
We are out of here.
It's just bullshit.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back. Somebody must lead, or else the fight would not be made at all.